welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first seminar of the 2025 Movers and Storage Show. Thank you for coming along. I know you must have battled the early morning traffic to be here. And I know from my experience running a business that sometimes, particularly in the removals and storage industry, you can get the feeling like you know your industry inside out, you know how to run your business, and you don't really need to go and watch a seminar. So it takes a good dose of humility and a bit of intellectual curiosity to come along and actually take a seat at one of these events. So big pats on the back for being here early. Just to introduce our first speaker and dive right in, this is Yuriy Margolin from Moving Sales Professionals LLC. He has come all the way from the United States to be here with us. So excellent effort, Yuriy. Yuriy has 25 years experience in sales, 22 of which have been gained in the removals industry. So he really knows his stuff. He's going to be talking to us today about sales. It's an area in my experience that really does get neglected in the removals industry, where we're so focused on logistics a lot of the time. Yuri's going to be talking about differentiating your company with creativity, the importance of sales, and also thinking about how AI can help us to grow as well. So please put your hands together and give Yuriy a very warm Movers and Storers welcome.
Obviously, we have US companies, UK companies on, some of the vendors here, and so on. Actually, my guys from back there from LifeSwitch, please check them out. They specifically do video surveys on site. Very great software. A lot of companies in US use it. So I would recommend for you guys to check it out. But getting back to what we're talking about. So the importance of customer service and social media and sales and moving industry is always often neglected. At the end of the day, we need to feel what it's like to have our customers work through things, right? So we need to have a connection. It's so important. I can't stress it enough. Are people going to say the same thing about your company from one stop to another? What are they saying about you? What's out there? You got to make that connection. Because at the end of the day, it's how you make them feel. We talk about this all the time, and we don't talk about it enough, honestly, right? So here in UK, the big difference between US companies and UK companies, I feel that we're a lot more focused on customer service aspect. And I think that's something that's extremely important, and oftentimes it's neglected. So for you guys, you want to make sure you make that connection, because people are important, and people are what's the engine that's making all of us run. If we don't have these customers, we're not going to have an industry, whether it's US, UK, or elsewhere, right? So that's one of the things that we want to focus on. Now, what makes you different from your competitors? You want to do something that's extremely unique. Customer service is not what you say it is, and it's not what you think it is. It's what your customers feel it is. How do they feel from the way that your workers are making them feel every single day when they're doing a job? Moving is an experience. A lot of people will say that it's one of the toughest experience that you're going to have in a lifetime, besides giving birth and having children, right? Those are tough too. But moving, it can be very stressful. So depending on how you make your customers feel, how is that foreman that's walking in the day of the move and is talking to the customer, how are they talking to them? That right there can set up the mood for the whole move. Are they letting them know in advance that they're coming? Are they prepared when you knock on their door? That stuff is extremely important. You want to make sure that people feel comfort, because it's also going to set up the move to go well for your workers, for your movers, right? If the customer is comfortable, it's going to be a smooth move. They're going to get them some food. They're going to get them some drinks. It's going to be smooth. There's not going to be any issues. But if you're having issues from the walk in, the moment that you start talking to them, you already have a problem. The rest of the day is not going to be fun. And for you as the owner of a company, it's going to be even less fun, because your movers are going to call you. The customer is going to call your office. You may have to talk to the customer. There's going to be a lot of stress involved, and as little stress as you could possibly have on a day of move for yourself and for your customer is the smoother that it's going to go. Okay. So company culture. This is extremely important. So with Moving Sales Professionals, we specifically focus on having companies that care about their customers, that care about their brand. Brand is something that people identify with your specific company, right? They want to be happy with what you're providing, with the service that you provide, and things that you're doing in general. So as owners, we want brand to stand for something that's good, something that's positive, right? We want them to identify your company with whatever it is that makes them feel good in this world. Whether it's, I don't know, maybe they care about animals. Okay. Sometimes it's just picking up on things people say. Like, I'm talking to a customer all the time. I hear a dog barking in the background. Oh, what kind of dog is that? I'm going to talk about the dog. Maybe I'm not a dog person, no, but they don't know that, right? But you're making the connection. You're doing something that allows them to identify in you. Because at the end of the day, in sales, we are competing, right? We're competing all the time. And moving sales is still sales, whether you like to admit it or not. It's still sales. You're trying to get customers to choose your company over mover next door, over the mover down the street, or big mover that's right there in town with you. Maybe you are the big mover and you're trying to stay in same length with the smaller movers that are coming into the market, and that's happening all the time, right? So you're constantly have new things, new innovations. People and companies in general, they get stuck in their ways at a lot of times. You can't do that. You have to constantly adjust to the industry. You need to constantly adjust to the world around you. What is this company is doing that somebody else is not doing, right? You got to do something new. You got to be creative all the time. Okay. So if I called 5 of your customers right now, would they all say the same thing about you? Would they all have the same experience? Think about that for a moment. You want them to have the feeling that's going to allow you to book more and more. There are companies that I've had as clients before. They said, okay, if your customer starts cussing at you because you called them too many times, you're doing a great job. No, that is absolutely not what you want. Because at the end of the day, you want them all to have a great experience talking to you in general, right? So even negative experience, it's not good experience, because this is what happens. Okay, let's say that they chose a different company than yours, right? They chose a different company. Their friends are going to ask them, well, how did your move go? They're going to say, oh, the move went all right. But then there was this one company that was just calling me and calling me, and I told them where to go, and they still called me. Horrible. Well, who was that company? Now, not only did you not get that customer, you also didn't get any of their friends. And it's this very small world, as you all know. Here, even in UK, even more so, because it's a smaller country. US, we're more spread out. We have a lot of movers. Here, you have much smaller country, a lot more movers concentrated in a smaller area, right? So you definitely need to make sure that you differentiate yourself, because it makes even a bigger difference than it would in a bigger place, right? So you got to do something different. You got to make sure they have a good experience. So even if a customer does not choose your company, if they don't choose you, that's not the worst thing in the world. Make sure that you provide them with the best possible service. Okay, so I understand if you're not choosing us, but let me help you. Who are you looking at? Let me look and tell you if they have all the licensing, if they have the reviews, if they have the things that they need to do a good job for you. Okay, you're not choosing me, it's okay, but I'm here to help you. You already made a connection with me. Let me help you. What does this do? This makes sure that in the future, let's say they had a bad experience, which we all know happens, right? So they had a bad experience. Guess what? Next time, they're going to call you, because you provided them with that extra service, with that extra conversation that they did not think about, right? You could have said, okay, bye. Okay. You didn't do anything wrong, right? But you also are not building for yourself for the future. And at the end of the day, it's about that. So this is, once again, goes into what I was just saying about a positive experience and being unique. That's what you want. So I find I have a new zebra in there. Let me explain to you why. Okay. So there was a company that I had on my podcast. They were called New Zebra. I think they were out of Boston area, and they had zebra as their mascot. So they had this pink zebra that was parading along a bridge on a very busy highway, during the peak times when they had sporting events, etc. So all these people, multiple people driving through the highway, they would see this pink zebra with a sign parading across this big bridge, right? So that's one way to advertise your thing. But one of the things that I was thinking, the moment I heard pink zebra, I'm thinking zoo, right? So there's a huge zoo in Boston area, right? And they have a zebra enclosure, right? So what they could do, just to be creative, we're talking about that, is contact the zoo, see if they can put a camera or maybe patch into a feed of the zoo, of the zebra enclosure, and show the zebra on their website, right? That way, you help the zoo because you could put a link, contribute to the zebras, right? But at the same time, you're doing something that's unique on your website where people that are looking at your website can go, oh, wow, there's a zebra, right? Oh, wow, it's a live one. It's not just a big zebra. There's actually something creative happening here, right? So honestly, any of you guys that have an animal in your company name, and it's a real and not a mystical animal, unicorns don't count, right? If it's a real animal, if there's a zoo in your town or nearby, try something like that. Why not? Right? You're helping animals, so you're helping a good cause, which by the way, people love a company that supports a good cause, because by supporting you, by choosing you as their mover, they're supporting a good cause, right? It makes them feel good, right? There's a company in US that does it's supposed like food for hunger. So they provide canned goods. They come and pick up canned goods from people that are moving, and they contribute them to local food kitchens, right? So they're helping the hungry. That's a great thing that you can say to your potential customers. And by choosing us today, you can help us curb world hunger. Or by choosing us today, you can help the animals at your local zoo. There's all these different things that you could do with your company where other companies that are your competitors can't say the same thing, right? It makes you unique. And now they can't copycat you because you just did it first. So if they're doing the same exact thing, they're supporting the same animal, that's not going to look as good, right? So you're doing something that's different. So booking business, customers, booking jobs, communication, right? So we're talking about the importance of making sure you have business. So what I found from last year being at this event and from having companies in UK, frankly, in my opinion, you guys don't go after customers hard enough. In US, I'll give you the comparison. So in US, if I just talk to a customer and I did a survey with them over the phone, and I gave them the quotes, and I gave them all the numbers, right? I'm not gonna wait a week to call them again. For that matter, I'm not even gonna wait until the next day. It all depends on what time I talk to them. So if I talk to them at 9 in the morning, I'm gonna probably call them at about 4 o'clock. Why? Because by the time I call them at 4 o'clock, they probably talk to 3 or 4 other movers, especially if you are purchasing leads. If you're using any lead providers that are out there, Get a Mover, whatever else that's out there, right? If you're using any of them, that information is going to multiple movers. So what works in this case always is being first to reach them, or being among one of the first to reach them, because that does it puts your name in their head. Okay, you want their business. You want your customers to feel like you as the mover. You want their business. That allows them to be okay. These guys are going to do everything for me. Clearly, okay, they're calling me a second time, and these guys haven't even called me the first time yet. Clearly, they want me more, right? And you want to grow your business. If you don't focus on this stuff, it's not going to grow. Yeah, some people may disagree with me, and some people may feel that, okay, that is being too pushy, that is being too aggressive. But if that information, that mover lead information, is going to, let's say, 5 other companies, right? By the end of the day, by 4 o'clock when I'm calling them, they don't remember my name, they don't remember my company's name, and they don't remember what I quoted. So you just remind them, oh, did you get a chance to look at the estimate that I gave you earlier? Oh, you didn't. Do you have time to look at that now? I can answer any of your questions. Oh, you did. Did you have any questions? Any of that stuff, you need to do it. You can't wait 2 days. To me, as a sales rep, if I give another company or another sales rep an opportunity for 2 days, not calling, I'm giving them a chance to go and book that job right from under my nose. Why would I do that? I'm trying to grow my business, right? That's what you guys want to do. And I understand aggressive, not aggressive. I think it's borderline, honestly. I always say to my sales rep people, I'm okay if you flirt with that line. I don't want you to cross it. Okay. So I think in a lot of ways, your sales reps have a little bit of a free will there in a sense that they are talking to your customers. So they can hear if there's irritation in their voice present. At that point, you know you got to step back. Or some people like to be called. Believe it or not, some people like to be called all the time and reminded. I can't tell you how many people tell me, thank you so much for calling me. Thank you so much for reminding me that I need to do this. Right? It's surprising sometimes, but I barely ever have anybody complain, say, you called me too much. It happens, but it's very, very rare in comparison. So AI, it's something that we're all talking about. It's something that's obviously at forefront of technology. It's something that's affecting our world every day between Chat GBT and all the other things that are out there, right? However, I think that there's time and place for AI. So at the end of the day, if I'm talking to one of your customers, as a person, I can tell when they're withholding information. And my goal is to get as much information from them about their move as I possibly can, right? So if they are withholding information, AI is not going to be able to pick up on that. One day, maybe they'll be able to figure out vocal and how the voice changes and stuff like that. Maybe they'll be able to pick stuff like that up, but normally they won't, right? Those are the things that are going to be important. So there are things that a real person right now, today, can do that a robot or a computer or an AI can't. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't have its place in this industry, right? So if you can have AI be set up to pick up your initial call and to know when to send it to sales department versus if it's a claims issue versus if it's something else, right? So you want it, routing it is going to definitely help you, especially if it's a very busy season, right? So I think that there's time and place for it, but you got to figure out how it works best for your specific company and for your organization and how you can make it work the best. Does it? I think both things can work together. At the end of the day, salespeople need to sell, not spend time dealing with claims and not spend time answering questions that are basic that AI can answer, like confirming a move time. When are my movers arriving tomorrow? A question like that, a computer can answer. Can you, as a sales rep, answer that too? Sure, of course you can. But at the same time, if it's busy and you're getting calls and calls and calls, you want the sales rep to focus on the sale. You want the sales rep to focus on booking and filling up your calendar. That's our job. That's what we should be doing. So getting also to that, there's one thing I want to say, getting back to customer service that I missed. So customer service, it's very important to make that connection, as I mentioned. And sometimes it's about a joke, fill out your client a little bit. When you're talking to them, one of the stories I always like to tell is, so before I got into moving, I started doing sales. I was 17 at the time. I'm 42, so it's been a little bit. But at 17 years old, I was doing fundraising for nonprofits. I was not even in the moving industry yet, right? So I was doing fundraising for nonprofits, for the environment, for some political organization, etc. So I'm talking to this lady. We're talking politics. I'm asking her to contribute at this point $10 a month to do a gift to the specific political party, right? And at that point, she's like, "Yes, I don't have that kind of money." I'm like, "Well, ma'am, you probably spend more than that on your dog food or your cat food in a week." "Yes, but my cat cuddles with me." "Well, ma'am, if I could send a few good politicians to your house right now, I'd do it." Now you're talking. At that point, she's laughing. I'm laughing. We're having a good time. "You're a good salesman. I'll do it." So my point is this: talk to people, listen to them. Listening is such a underrated part of the sales industry and customer service industry as a whole, because what we hear from people, they will literally, without telling you, They will tell you what's important to them. So if you're having a conversation and they tell you about their couch 3 times, guess what? That couch is important to them. So now you're going to tell them, well, this is how I'm going to wrap your couch. Well, this is how the guys are going to handle it. This is how they're going to put it. This is how they're going to do this and do that. The chance is by the end of that conversation, I'm probably going to have her at couch, right? So we got to focus on things like that. It's extremely important to listening. And like we're saying, like you can see on my screen here, customer service is your heartbeat. Social media is your voice. Sales is your engine. AI is your accelerator into the future. And as I always say on the podcast, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuri. That was really good. And coming from a marketing and brand background myself, I thought you made some really interesting points. I mean, I was interested to know if you feel like there's much of a cultural difference between sales for a UK audience and sales for a US audience. How do you find that with your experience?
I don't feel like there's a big difference, honestly. I think that uh, specifically for the removals industry, I think there's a tendency, as I mentioned earlier, of people saying a little bit timid and not maybe going for the sale. And I talked to a big company, a regional sales managers for Allied, which if you guys are familiar, it's a huge U.S. company that has lorries that goes all over the country, international, everything. It's a very big company in the U.S. I'm not sure how much it does here, if at all, but it's huge on the state side, right? And what he said specifically is that companies don't ask for business enough. Sometimes you should even use the words, what can I do to earn your business? I ask that question during a call sometimes. If the person is right there, if they're not booking with me on that call, I'm going to say, well, I have to ask, what can I do to get you to pick us right now? Is there something specific that you're looking for? We don't ask that question enough.
And I'm going to do a quick quiz. So you're running a business. There may be different types of businesses, but I want you to put your hand up now if you follow up your leads. Who follows up once? Well, everyone presumably follows up once. So those hands should be going in the air, hopefully. Who follows up twice? So if you're phoning back, you're not getting an answer. Who follows up 3 times? 4? 5? I've lost you all. Okay.
Well,
So
I'll take you one step farther. You should be following up the leads until the intended customer's moving date passes. If the date has not passed, follow up. It's if you first of all, if you haven't actually got the person on the phone, I don't care if you call them 3 times a day. Until you reach them, you're not gonna get them. Period. So if you're not calling them at all, you're throwing away the money that you spent on that lead. Whether that's actual lead provider like Get a Mover or whatever, or whether you're spending money on Google or any other type of advertising. If you're not following up, you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, of course, there's a fine line once you've actually got the person on the phone, right? But there's nothing wrong with asking that person, how often do you want me to call you? When would you like for me to call you next time? There's nothing wrong with asking that question.
I've worked with removals companies for many years, and one of the colleagues in the industry told me that they follow up 7 times before they classify a lead as dead. And that was because they have multiple experiences of converting the sale on the 7th call. And that was, emails, calls, answer phone messages. They just kept going and they were making sales on the 7th call. So I think it's a really important point. Does anybody have any questions for Yuri? If you could anyone? Yep. Let me just bring you the mic so we can pick it up on the sound.
Podcast is?
What's the podcast, Yuri?
What's the what?
Podcast.
Podcast. Let's Talk Moving. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, I think, a few other places. So, but yeah, we specifically talk about the industry. It's actually not designed to be salesy at all. So, I'm not trying to sell you on this. At the end of the day, if sales is what you need and you all do, whether you want to do it in-house on your own or whether you want to hire a company like mine. Right now, realistically, we are the only ones that do this here in the UK. There's nobody else. And we have 20 years experience to back it. So it's not something that we just started doing yesterday. Okay. And at the end of the day, you want jobs booked. To book them, you need sales. In our case, the benefit of hiring a third party company to do sales for you is A, you don't have to pay any benefits. You don't have to pay days off. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You're, I'm not sure how it will work in terms of your taxes, but I'm sure that there's a benefit to that there as well. But that way you hire somebody that already knows how to do this. So when I opened up my company, one of the major problems was I would bring people in to train. They would stay there for 2 weeks, train. I would pay them for the training. And then out of those training, I was lucky if I'd get one person that stayed a week after training. Not because I wasn't spending my time and I wasn't doing my due diligence teaching them how to do the business, right? But because there are such people, and I know all of you have encountered them, that I like to call career interviewees. They show up for interviews, they spend time and your money training, and then a week later they're gone. And that's their job. They do this all over the place. They don't actually stay anywhere. They just interview and get paid for it. So that's one other thing, that you don't have to spend money on advertising for sales reps. You don't have to spend money on training those sales reps. And more importantly, your time. What is your time worth to you? At the end of the day, that's the time, that's the money that you can spend on growing your business, on growing things and making sure that things work out better for you.
Do we have any other questions? In that case, I'm going to invite you all to put your hands together and say thanks very much to Yuriy. Thanks, Yuriy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yuriy.